welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your transformation guru, Samya Bano. Are you overcoming big challenges in your life? Do you want to transform the world? Is fear holding you back from taking the bold action you need to create massive positive change? If so, keep listening and transform that fear into freedom. Hey, welcome back to the Survivor to Thriver show. Today's episode, we are going to be exploring the relationship between fear and procrastination. That's right. There's actually a very deep relationship between fear and procrastination. In fact, I am going to argue that fear is the root cause of our procrastination. And this is a lesson that was brought to my awareness just over the last few days when I was attending an NLP Mastery Conference. NLP, for those of you who don't know, stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And it's basically a way for us to study human behavior, human psychology, and to learn skills, to learn specific tools with which we can respond, right, to different challenges and problems that we face. And to do so in alignment with our natural tendencies, so that the solutions we implement are ones that are not resisting our natural tendencies and inclinations, but rather utilizing our natural tendencies and inclinations in order to produce the fastest, most effective impact and solutions to whatever the challenges that we are dealing with. So it's a great area of study. And this particular conference, this NLP Mastery Conference that I was at, was being led by Johnny Cass. And, Johnny was talking about this issue of fear is the underlying cause of our procrastination. And I actually had to think about that for a while before I really understood the depth of that idea, the truth that is embedded in this idea. Because, for me, historically, when I thought of the problem of procrastination, I thought of it as a problem that occurs when we try to force ourselves to do things that we don't love to do. See, because it's like, if there's something that you love to do, right? And when there's something that you love to do, it brings you happiness. It brings you inner peace. It brings you joy. You have a natural sense of enthusiasm around doing the things that you love to do, right? And so there's absolutely no motivation and no reason for us to procrastinate around doing things that we love to do. So I recognized that, and I thought, there we go. So that's the problem, that when we are procrastinating, it's just because we are trying to make ourselves do something that we don't love to do. And in this context, because I'm a great believer that our feelings are our friends. Our feelings always have very, very valuable messages, valuable feedback to give us. So when I think, procrastination is just our heart and mind's way of preventing us from doing things we don't love, I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as a very good thing, right? Because if you really think about it, why would you even want to live a life where you're spending your time, your energy, doing things that you don't love? Why would you even want to spend your time, your energy doing things that you don't love? No one really wants that. But sometimes, a lot of times actually, we convince ourselves that there are things that we have to do, that we don't love to do, but we have to do. We convince ourselves that we have to do those things because that is what society teaches us. That is what we are told by our parents, our teachers, our friends, well-wishers. That's just a very sort of generally embedded belief in our society that, is just part of living as a responsible adult, that there are times when you have to do things that you don't love to do. Just imagine what a different kind of world we would live in if we all believed that no, we don't have to do what we don't love to do. That every single person should just do what they love to do. That each and every one of us just does what we love to do. Wow, what a different world we would live in. But we believe that that is a luxury we can't afford. And we convince ourselves that, there are just times when we must do what we don't love to do. And so we come up with all these strategies for how we can make ourselves do things that we don't love to do. And how therefore we can overcome this problem of procrastination. And when we do procrastinate, we blame ourselves, we judge ourselves. It makes us feel even worse, right? It harms our sense of self-esteem, self-respect. When we think to ourselves, oh, I procrastinate, I don't do the responsible thing, I don't do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. All these negative judgments, this self-blame. It's really, really bad for us, right? Bad for our sense of inner peace and happiness. Bad for our sense of living life of contentment and fulfillment. So it's not a problem that you want to continue to live with. No, let's resolve this issue once and for all. Let's resolve this problem once and for all. Now the thing is that if you're going to effectively resolve the problem of procrastination, we have to get the best possible understanding of what the problem actually is, right? Because if you don't understand the problem correctly, then you can't implement the best solutions. In fact, you may not even be able to implement an effective solution. And so it's you may be doing things that you think are solutions and finding them to be totally ineffective or not as effective as you would like them to be, and so you're frustrated and stressed out. But you don't know what to do. But you don't know what else to do, right? And so in this kind of a situation, if you're facing it, it's probably maybe because the solution you're implementing is just not the right solution. And the reason you're not implementing the right solution is because you haven't correctly understood the problem. So it's critical that you go back and dig a little deeper and do a more thorough analysis of what the actual problem is. So over this past weekend, when Johnny was talking about, fear is at the bottom of our procrastination, and I related back to this idea that I have had in my mind for so long of, we procrastinate when we try to make ourselves do things that we don't love to do. I saw the connection. And I realized that Johnny was right. Johnny is right. Fear really does underlie our procrastination. It's true that we procrastinate around things that we don't love to do. And it's true that the reason we try to even force ourselves to do things we don't love to do is because of fear. So it could be that you have fear of failure, right? So it's like if you focus your life on just doing what you love to do, you're afraid that you will fail at it, that it's just not possible. And so you try to force yourself to do the things that you don't love to do. And then you end up in this struggle. So at a conscious level, you see you have made this decision and you're working at a conscious level to implement the decision of doing these things you don't love to do. But at a subconscious level, your heart and your mind know that you're going down the wrong path. That you can never achieve the kind of happiness, inner peace, contentment, and joy that you deserve and that you desire by doing things that you don't love to do. And so they employ this strategy of procrastination to prevent you from going down that path. So that's actually a good thing, right? It's like, okay, all right, so maybe you're afraid of failure. But you may also be afraid of success. So it's like, all right, there's so many people who are actually afraid of success. Because it's like if you lived a life where everything you did was something that you loved to do, you would achieve like amazing success. And at the same time, success means growth, right? It requires you to grow. And it requires you to keep growing. If you're going to maintain that success over time, not only do you have to grow now, but you have to keep growing. And maybe you're afraid of the growing pains, right? Because when you grow, there's usually growing pains. There may not actually be any growing pains at all, but you may have an expectation that there may be growing pains. Like, for example, you may be afraid that, if you end up achieving the kind of success that will result from your doing all the things that you love to do, you'll end up having to take on a lot more responsibility. And you have like all these fears about what that will mean in terms of, I won't have enough time to spend with my family or just to relax or, whatever your thinking is. It may not even be true. But you may be thinking that and therefore, generating this fear of success in your mind with that kind of thinking. Or you may have other kinds of fear that are holding you back from devoting your life to just doing what you love to do. So I want you to really take some time now and think about where are you procrastinating in your life? And what is it that you're afraid of? What is the fear that is underlying that procrastination? Think about it. And then next episode, we will explore the strategies, the solutions that you can implement to deal with these kinds of fears that can come up that lead us to procrastinate in our lives, right? Because, hey, as awesome as it is to understand the problem, once we understand the problem, we need to focus our attention onto the solution and stay focused on the solution. So I will help you do that. But before we do that, I need you to think about and identify what the fear is that you're experiencing that's at the root of why you procrastinate, right? All right. So with that, I want to remind you that, hey, if you find yourself struggling with this, please don't continue to struggle with it on your own. Reach out for help and support. And you know that I'm one person you can reach out to. Just go to my website at academyofthriving.com, click on the Contact Us page, and you'll see how we can connect. And as I mentioned in my last episode, also for a limited time, I'm opening up the opportunity for you to connect with me live on my Ruthless Compassion mentoring calls. So this is an amazing opportunity. Why? Because you can get on my Ruthless Compassion mentoring call with me and just ask me right there and then whatever questions you have on your mind, or share with me whatever challenge or fear you're dealing with, and I will help you, mentor you, coach you right there and then through that problem. And we will break through whatever that challenge is, break through whatever that fear is right there and then. And for most people, in most cases, I only need a few minutes to process with you in order to help you break through that fear, break through that challenge. So if you want to accelerate your learning, accelerate your growth, accelerate your process of positive growth and change and breaking through your challenges and your fears, you need to get on my Ruthless Compassion mentoring calls with me, all right? So when you go to academyofthriving.com, click on the Contact Us page, and connect with me. Let me know you're interested in joining me on the mentoring calls, and then I will get back to you and let you know when the next one is coming up that has some space in it, and we'll go from there. All right? And in the meanwhile, I wish you lots of peace and joy.